I am Brachus Rex. I am the Source King. You shall not seal the veil, and I shall not be struck down. I call on the God King. Come, claim what is yours.
How? What? You are unleashed!
Friedemann cackles in delight at this turn of events. His unbridled glee slithers into your veins and throttles your heart.
You left the leashing wand next to me, you stupid maggot. So accustomed had you become to me pretending to be your slave.
Kill him!
Do shut up, you tedious buffoon. And don't look so surprised. As if I would allow that bone-bag Dallas to enslave me.
This is not the time for talk. Kill him, now!
Too late, you moldering, blight-stained pigs. Grant me power, my ally. God King, I call on you. The God King hears my call. He sends a companion worthy of my power. Come to your father, my pretty thing. Come to the Source King!
companion struggles to rise, but the weight of his own pain leaves him to gravity's mercy.
My time is done. But your source burns so bright I'm all but blinded by it. Be wise and true, Godwoken. I am no hero, but wisdom and truth. These are values I always believed in.
Dallis groans in pain.
I have failed. The future of all that is rests on your shoulders.
Here we stand, once more on the cusp of divinity. But this cup, so long thirsted for, I willfully let it pass from me. All my life has been a lead-up to this, to be the King of Kings, God of Gods. I will not say it was in vain, but I will say it was vanity. If I were to chance upon my throne right now, I would sit down beside it, cast my glance to the horizon, and think of worthier things. I'd think of Sadher, my great love. I'd think of my children, their joyous dance through fiery skies. And of course, I'd think of you, of the adventures we had and the night we shared. That wondrous expression of joy when all was at its darkest. Yes, I'd sit there, thoroughly contented, and wait for you to ascend the throne. I know.
A mischievous smile.
But I do have to add, likewise.
You think back on your journey here, on all that you have seen and done. You think of the Magisters, and the sorcerers they hunted, and of the good and the evil on both sides. You think of how the Eternals came as Voidwoken to reclaim their stolen world. You look at the source around you. The power is immense. Divinity at your fingertips. You think of what you could do with such power. The rights you'd wrong, the wars you'd win. You marvel at your journey and how it has changed you. You think of those you left behind, and of those you met along the way, who stood by you or against you. It's time to choose your fate, and the fate of all you hold dear. What shall it be? Shall you be divine? After all that you have been through, and all that you have done, all that you have become, the Aetheran lies in front of you. Divinity is yours to take, or to sacrifice. What you do next decides your own fate, and the future of the world. What shall you do with divinity?
So it ended. A tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the Godwoken. When the dust settled, no new divine had risen. Instead, all source was released into the world for all the people and every creature to share. Everyone was now a sorcerer. And united, the peoples of Rivellon pushed back the God King into the very depths of the void. This ushered in a new golden age of peace and prosperity. But alas, it was not to last. With many greedy for wealth, power and position, the struggle soon began anew. Source, the very language of creation, was used in violence once more. The never-ending contest for power continued. As for me, I was freed of the tyranny of the God King. To atone for my sins in this world, I spent the rest of my days taking care of the sick and elderly. I would tell the story of the Godwoken to anyone who would listen. The story of the greatest heroes Rivellon had ever known. The heroes who chose not to close the veil.
Well, well, look what the cat dragged in. A Godwoken. But what good is it to be Godwoken when Source is now a free-for-all, and there is no divinity to be had? Don't fool yourself. In the absence of a master will rise. King, God, there is still power to be had. As long as there is power, there is conflict. Source for all, it is but the dream of an idiot who will soon wake to find his wrists in shackles. In that sense, I suppose I should look upon it all as an opportunity. People crave authority. They'll beg for a sorcerer king like me. Please, I'm not a dilettante.
He sighs, which seems to ease his surly countenance.
But come. We've travelled too long by one another's side to end with an argument. We'll not part on bad terms, will we? Home. After all, I've dragons to raise. I need to teach them to be good boys and girls before they set the entire world on fire. There may be an accident or two along the way. Can't be helped, I'm afraid. I do so long to see my palace again. The Forbidden City. The scents of spices and incense. The sound of sitars in far-off rooms. To sit all day in perfumed shade and watch the white of the marble change with the journey of the sun. But above all, I long to be with Sadha. Long to finally have the time to love. That is not to say, of course, I could ever forget about you and the intimacy we shared. When all is at its darkest, the soul longs for the light of love. Remember? I'm glad we were one another's light. Oh, but before you go, remember how when we first met, I took you by the jaw to inspect your teeth? Not something one forgets in a hurry. Now, if you recall, despite having little or no regard for personal hygiene, as per your own testimony, you can cook and tailor, two quite indispensable talents. At the time, of course, I couldn't have foreseen the adventure ahead, but now that it's quite over, I'd like to renew the opportunity for you to become my slave. What say you? Well, that's settled then. You're very welcome to my house indeed. We'll feast and reminisce. But in the meantime, my boots are not going to clean themselves. You'll have to wear a collar again, by the by. Nothing you're not used to.
Malady stands tall and proud, sunlight sparkling off her mask. From here she looks almost angelic.
Well, here we are again. You, me, and the ship I've saved from ruin for your personal benefit. I'd say you owe me. Why state the obvious? Get an eyeful. I expect it's the last we'll see of each other for some time. I have a lot of planning to do. Now that there's not to be a new divinity.
She drums her fingers testily on her crossed arms.
All that work, all that effort tossed into the gutter like a malformed child. The same way I do everything, of course. Demonic guile. You say that now. Let's see how you feel when you realize the true implication of a world filled with sorcerers. Never mind. I'll find another way. I always do.
She fingers the mask covering her face. For a moment, it seems as though she's about to remove it. But instead, she places a hand on your shoulder.
We've come a long way together. I did my best by you all the way. Sacrificed much. And I'd have given even more to see you fulfill your destiny.
She looks you up and down.
I guess this will have to do. Take a moment, why don't you? Relax. Enjoy. I certainly plan to do the same. Oh, I don't know, around and about. Treat myself to some mead, a level 300. I'd say we've earned it. Perhaps our paths will cross again. Perhaps not. Until we find out.
Beast Spirit smiles as you approach and begins to sing a tune you think vaguely familiar.
You hear the wild beast just sails on the ocean. He's docked in the bay and coming your way. Off on the yawn, you hear the commotion. He's docked in the bay and coming your way. Your cupboard can't hide you, nor can your berth. His daggers don't care about the gold that you're worth. He'll bury your bones neath a mountain of earth. He's docked in the bay and coming your way.
He pauses, then continues to hum, all the while working his ghostly whiskers.
I feel weird, like I've got ants crawling in my belly. There is a matter I must attend to, however. My payment for all the stuff I've done for you. That'll be...
He taps his fingers and mouths silently while he counts, until he arrives at an acceptable figure.
1,300,000 dozen and 50 gold pieces. Now pay up. Oh yeah? What's that?
Han ponders your suggestion for all of a second.
You got it. But you better believe the bill for that will be a doozy.
A world full of sorcerers. That's quite a thing. But don't worry, darling. You're still special to me. Reform my ways? How adorable. No, I'm afraid I cannot escape who I am and what I've done.
Her eyes flick down to your mouth. She smiles coyly, then slinks forward to kiss you. Her mouth meets yours and devours you with predatory abandon. Somewhere in the recesses of your mind, you think you hear her voice sigh, "Mine." But then the kiss ends.
Something to remember me by, darling. Who knows? A nice cottage someplace quiet for Mahali and I. A roaring fire and a feather bed. Maybe. But a girl needs some fun, doesn't she?
A slight grin crosses the spirit's face. Whether her smile is sincere or not, you can't be sure.
Source of all, eh? Bold move, I'll grant you that. I didn't think anyone considered the little people anymore. I don't know yet. Perhaps peace will reign and all will be equal. Or perhaps you've bestowed great power on undeserving children and turned them loose on each other. Time will tell, I'm sure. That is the question, isn't it? How does one top the greatest feat of necromancy ever conceived? I might have the answer to that. Tell me, have you ever heard of Gustavgen? No, of course you wouldn't. It's a written language, unreadable to most, but myself, naturally. It comes from a mysterious race from another world. Beings that feed on minds. I intend to seek them out. This Gustavgen seems to guard portals to their realm. And once I've uncovered one, well, why settle for being the greatest mind in just one world, and there's another for the taking?
There's nothing interesting down there. The future lies above, not below.
I suppose it's time for me to explore a new form of eternity.
It gives me almost as much pleasure to speak to you as it does to be whole again.
She is full of surprises. My wood was splintered, but my spirit intact. It was a great feat, but given her skill, not a surprising one. I feel better than new.
I will always be an ally to those that carry swords, to those whose blood is of the heroes of old, and so, as always, I am at the ready.
You look out to the endless beyond. The sun's light plays upon the waves, just as it always did. The sails flutter in the wind, just as they always will. And yet, something is different. You are different. And with a start, you realize where you must go next. You speak the command to the Lady Vengeance, and another chapter begins. The world was at peace, at least for now. Few were as prepared for the new world as the lizardkin of the ancient empire. With power spread equally throughout the world, the advantage lay with those who knew how to steal it, and at this the lizards excelled. Justinia returns to her throne. Under her rule, the Dwarven kingdom prospered. Jealous lovers stabbed her in the heart with a mutton fork. With their power returned, the elves reclaimed their lands from the Death Fog and began to rebuild. Soon they would split as two factions sought power, one to bring back the trees, the other to bring back the Scions. A dwarven joke did the rounds. It ends with the punchline, "So Lucian dropped the Death Fog on them again." And in a dark forest on the far side of a desert, well beyond the high seas, the Black Ring came together once more. The island of Fort Joy, the old redoubt of the Source King Brachus Rex, was turned over to the people of Driftwood to use as they wished. They turned it into a holiday resort. Reaper's Coast prospered. The fisheries returned, and the fertile farmlands produced the greatest harvests the surviving farmers had ever seen. Blood Moon Island became particularly fecund, its soil producing the greatest crops. A particularly crimson-fleshed orange grown on the island became a delicacy across half the world. The black pits took fire. The oil there burns still. Driftwood became a centre of industry, trade and transport. Lohar became mayor, and Brayton Barnes grew rich until, after a public argument over import duties, Barnes died in an accident, buried under several tons of fish, and also stabbed in the back with a gutting knife. Lagan left his over-demanding wife and began a relationship with a local bard. In the spirit of loving generosity, he returned the ring to his now ex-wife. In a fit of rage, she threw it into the sea. The nameless isle had vanished. Although only open water remained, by instinct ships would steer clear. None of the captains could articulate why. Millennia later, adventurers would come in search of the legendary divine city of Arx and the crypt of the great Lucian. None would pass the path of blood. Young Han went into the theatre and became one of the realm's most popular actors. Almira and Mihaili settled in an abandoned homestead. The locals liked and respected Almira. She never wanted for help, and deals always fell to her favor. Outsiders were often suspicious, but no local would speak against her. With no new divine, Malady found herself in a predicament. She had an important problem to solve, but no ally strong enough to call upon, and so her search continued. Having performed the greatest act of necromancy in history, Tarquin found the new world unchallenging. He became obsessed with rumors of another plane of existence. One day he vanished and was never seen again. With Amadia silent, the priestess Gratiana left the swamps and re-entered the world. With more undead than ever before, she founded an abbey in the Dragonspine Mountains, offering them shelter from hatred and fear. Jehan the demon hunter found himself at a loose end, so he opened a museum of demonic artifacts. After it burned down, with Jehan inside, witnesses claimed that the flames were the color of blood. As the forests grew anew and the elves were equals at last, Sahala shared elven knowledge of source with the world. But some elves disagreed and plotted against her. Chief amongst her opponents was Tova, Sahala's own mother. The Red Prince came home a hero. With Sada, he had more dragons. Soon, Prince became Emperor, one who would not use his dragons for conquest. His realm knew peace, and the world did not burn. And then there was you. You returned to the world a sorcerer among many. Your future was yours to decide. Did you accept your new status with humility? Only you know the truth. Only you know if you atone for your sins.
to me, the night is dark. Come to me, the night is long. Sing for me, I'll sing along. Sing for me, oh sing for me. Come to me, the night is dark. Come to me, the night is long. Sing for me, I'll sing along. Sing for me, oh sing for me. Sway with me, we'll make them scream. Dance with me, we'll make them bleed. Sing for me, I'll sing along. Sing for me, oh sing for me. Listen, do you hear it? Listen, do you feel it? Listen, I'm calling you. Listen, you do know me. Listen, swing and roll me. Listen, I'm calling you. Listen, do you hear it? Listen, do you feel it? Listen, I'm calling you. Listen, you do know me. Listen, swing and roll me. Listen, I'm calling you. Listen, do you hear it? Listen, do you feel it? Listen, I'm calling you. Listen, you do know me. Listen, swing and roll me. Listen, I'm calling you.
Familiar in your hands, as though it weren't an instrument of wood and sinew, but of your own flesh and soul. The lute, it...
Come to me, the night is dark. Come to me,